9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 19, 20. Oh, yeah, I skipped over 17 and 18. Good evening and welcome to the Pits and Analysis from yours truly, Jackson Johnson, and my partner in crime, Austin Williams from Sports Talk with Austin, as we go over our take on the 2024-2025 college football playoff semifinals. And let me tell you something, folks. It's going to be a wild ride. How you doing tonight, good buddy?
Doing pretty good. I'm looking forward to this. I mean, we started with 12, Jackson. We're left with four. Four teams, one goal. Who's going to Atlanta? I can't wait to pick the game. Can't wait to watch. And may the best teams win Thursday and Friday night.
Exactly. And I just got to tell you, this is going to be a fun one.
Mm-hmm. I will say, I'm looking forward to the Orange Bowl on Thursday night a little more than the Cotton Bowl because Notre Dame, Penn State, they're two teams that don't get here very often, but I like it all the same.
There you go. Here we go. We got the Notre Dame Penn State matchup in the Capital One Orange Bowl Thursday night, 6:30 p.m. Central Time, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN. That should be a wild game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is a game, Jackson. Like, if you were to ask anybody at the start of the 12-team playoff, who would be your prediction to come out of the side of the bracket with the Orange Bowl? A lot of people would have said Georgia, and probably a lot of people probably would have said Georgia, and then you would have probably had those few in there that would have said Penn State, but not a lot of people would have said Notre Dame, especially Jackson after the disastrous, loss to NIU. Like, everyone left Notre Dame for dead after that. They said Notre Dame was done. Their playoff spot shouldn't even have a spot in the playoffs. They played a poor schedule, and everybody just keeps critiquing Notre Dame and keeps saying they're not worthy, they don't belong here, they're not on the level of the big bad SEC, the big bad Big Ten, and they keep knocking it out of the park. They beat Indiana, then they beat a Georgia team, although banged up, beat up. They did beat a team that won two national titles in this decade, and I got to give them credit for that. They deserve a whole heck of a lot of credit. They deserve it, especially the defense after the injuries that they've had. Benjamin Morrison going out. He was a big loss for the year, but the defense keeps stepping up. Riley Mills and company, that Notre Dame D line. Jackson, the Irish are hitting on all cylinders at the right time. And what do you always tell me about momentum? Momentum can carry you a long way.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
And that's what Notre Dame has got.
Yeah, because I think we want to talk about Ohio State losing to Michigan, how it lit a fire on their butt. Losing to Northern Illinois lit a fire in Notre Dame because they realize any game they lose at any moment is an elimination game. They realize that. And they've heard people taking a dump on them because, oh, well, they're not in a conference. They should be in a conference like everybody else. It's like they should either be in the part, they should either conform like everybody else, or they should just be left out. They should be left out. They should be left out. Well, here's the thing. Yeah, they got punished by not having a first round bye. But what good does that do? Oh yeah, they're just gonna win a couple playoff games. They're gonna smack They're gonna win against Indiana, and then they're gonna smack Georgia off the face of the earth, which I gotta say was pretty satisfying. I have to admit, especially for our good buddy Will and D, because He needed to see something like this, especially in his
Mm-hmm.
lifetime. And
And I want to real quick, Jackson, to that point. I know a lot of people have, that's the status quo, right? People are like, Notre Dame, you need to join a conference or else you're never going to survive. Jackson looks like they're surviving pretty well.
oh yeah, they just needed the right coach. I mean, maybe
Mm-hmm.
they don't win it all this year, but this is a team that will get a national title with Marcus Freeman. They said that about Clemson football. You're never going to see the good old days come again for Clemson. You're never going to see it happen again. That was dead, buried, and gone from the 80s. Well, guess what? Dabo Swinney comes into town, builds him into a contender. Boom, you see him winning games all over the place. I think we're going to see something like that with Marcus Freeman and Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm. I go for it.
I mean, you're going to see this guy make magic all over the place in South Bend.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you're not going to see it. You may not see a natty this year, but you'll see a natty eventually come to South Bend. It will happen.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And that's one of the things too, Jackson, I wanted to point out is Notre Dame, they play the oldest brand of football you could think. Smash mouth, run the football. And in a new era of college football, Jackson, with the NIL and all this portal and transferring, they've been able to keep that old smash mouth style of let's run the football, let's play physical. And a lot of people said that's not going to work in this new day and age. Well, Notre Dame is not confined to being they're not changing their ways for anybody. They have almost said we're going to win the title the way we know how, and that's smash mouth, kick you in the butt and make you like it, spit out the blood, and then pick your teeth up off the ground when we're done with you. And that's their formula. And they did it to Georgia, they did it to Indiana, they've done it all year long. And that's things I'm looking forward to in this game. Can Penn State's D line, especially if Abdul Carter Jackson, who's a game time decision, as last I saw reported, if Abdul Carter's not in there for that Penn State D line, Jackson, that could be trouble because he is the heart and soul of that defense.
Yeah.
Oh boy, Jackson. B Bean disagrees with you saying that.
Not that, maybe not this year, but eventually under Marcus Freeman.
I see. But I'll say this, Jackson. What do we think about Penn State? What's our read on them?
Their reputation has been they can't win a big game. They can't get it done. They certainly couldn't get it done against Ohio State this year or Oregon in the Big Ten title game. That's been their whole reputations. Oh, they can't get it done. They can't get it done. But they smacked SMU off the face of the earth. They beat Boise State in the Siesta Bowl. While everybody is partying, getting drunk on New Year's Eve, Penn State is getting drunk on Smurf Turf Blue, beating them up all over the place.
That's a new one on me, but
They're drinking that blue punch, and then when they got done having that Fiesta all over the Fiesta Bowl, they went to sleep, passed out drunk from beating them up so bad.
well, I learned. Oh boy, B Bean says Jackson knows that quote. Oh boy, yeah, Jackson was a wild one in his day. I'm a guessing, but in all seriousness,
No,
though,
but
in
I
all
know
seriousness,
one or two people that have been wild in their days.
yeah, that's all. That's a whole nother podcast episode. That's a whole nother platform. We'll save that for unscripted or something. If we ever decide to do an unscripted podcast or something, we'll make it late night. We'll go live at 2 a.m. But back to the Orange Bowl here. Penn State, Jackson. like you said, they've had the reputation of coming up short in the biggest of games. And a lot of it is Jackson. A lot of people said James Franklin, could be coaching for his job. Like, how much validity do you put into that, Jackson? Do you think that's just some Penn State fans getting annoyed that he can't beat Ohio State? He can't win some of these bigger games? Or do you think there's validity to that? Like, there's substance to that?
I think there's validity to that because of his record against top 5 teams.
Mm-hmm.
It's not very good, but there's one good thing. If Penn State can win this game against Notre Dame, it will shut some people up for quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
They can't go.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, they got through Boise State. Oh, they got through SMU. No. They beat Notre Dame in the Orange Bowl. They're good. They're going to be in the Natty. And people are going to quiet down off this. They can't win the big game stuff for quite a while.
Mm-hmm. And Jackson, there's one thing I love about Penn State when I watch them, is they've got a special trio of Tyler Warren, Nick Singleton, Traquan Allen, and Drew Aller, the quadruples as I like to call them. They have a two-headed monster at running back. They have the best tight end in the nation, and they have a quarterback peaking at the right time. Jackson, Penn State's a scary team. Like, Jackson, this Penn State team reminds me of some of those offensive teams you all had at Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
That's how good that they formed this team. Like a two-headed running back at monster. You've got the bruising running back, and then you've got you've got Singleton with the speed. You've got Traquan Allen, who's the bruiser who will beat you up. The thunder and lightning, and then you got Tyler Warren. You can't cover him.
Mm-hmm.
Like you saw in the Boise game, Jackson, they bracketed him. It only worked for a few plays, and then Aller was still able to find him. I mean, that's my concern with Notre Dame. How are they going to cover this four-headed monster? Because you take one of the running backs away, well, guess what? You still got the other to contend with. And Tyler Warren, you can only slow him down for so long. Just ask any team that's played Penn State. You can only stop him for so long. And not to mention, their receiving core, Jackson's one of the best in the country. This is, in my opinion, one of the best Penn State teams they've had in quite some time. And Jackson, not to add, their defense is stingy. They get takeaways. They're hungry. Jackson, Penn State could win this whole dang thing. That's how good they are.
Well, and I'm looking at the injury report from Blue White Illustrated from On3 from Greg Pickle, and he has the latest update on Abdul Carter for so far. And James Franklin is going to share the latest on a press conference tomorrow morning, where at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, 8 a.m. Central Time, he's going to say that if Abdul Carter cannot play, Amin Vanover, Matt Granville, and Smith Vilbert will play in his place. So they've got things worked out. And we're looking at Jeremiah Carter. Let's not Jeremiah Carter. Jeremiah Love. He's bringing out that love from the Love Boat. You see.
And real quick, Jackson, B Bean says Notre Dame did not beat Georgia with offense. No, but their defense and their special teams, but their offense had a hand in it there at the end. They were bruising time because Georgia could not get off the field in those last 6.5 minutes. The offense, I'll give you that. But the defense and special teams won Notre Dame that game. But go ahead, Jackson. What's the update on Love there?
Yeah, and Mike Denbrock told the reporters at the La Madrian Dania Beach Hotel, they said, I believe in his mind, the way he's practiced this week, he's ready to go. So they're both pretty positive on their players, whether see if they can play or not.
And I want to say this, I want to say this, Jackson. We're in the time of year now where everybody's got an injury of some type. Nobody's completely 100% healthy and feels like a baby deer like they did at the beginning of the year. Something's always banged up. But you're 2 wins away from the biggest prize in your sport. It no matter what the injury is, like I'll be honest, Jackson, I'm not in their heads, but I don't care if my arm's off my shoulder. If I've got any life left in me, I'm gonna be out there on that field because the reward at the end is worth it.
There you go.
Like most people would say, "Oh, that's a bad career move." Well, it just goes to show how passionate some players are and how passionate I would be if I was in their shoes. I don't know about you, Jackson, or any of our audience out there if they would do the same, but I would, knowing the chance that you get to hoist the national title up and call yourself the best team and have that for a full year. Oh, heck yeah. Even if the shoulder's completely gone and ruptured, I'm going to play every snap I have left in me. If it means I can call myself the best at the end. But
I'm curious to see what's going to happen. And you know something? This used to be a yearly battle in the 80s. Like this was quite a battle for those that didn't know. But
yeah, this used to be a game that was played quite a bit.
Yep. So it's been a minute. But of course, like the last time they played was in 2007. And that was, of course, the disastrous year for Notre Dame football. But I remember, there's like a kickoff return, I believe, that I remember from that game. That was from like the Pontiac game-changing performance from college football final. I remember watching that on like ESPN.com as a little boy, but it was like, but that was my takeaway from Notre Dame Penn State that year.
And one more thing I want to get into, Jackson, before we make our picks. I'm kind of curious, Jackson, who wins the quarterback battle in this game?
Well, for me, it's Drew Allar. I've called him the Nets' Kirk Cousins. He's a little bit better than Riley Leonard, so that I do have to give him.
Because that, to me, Jackson, is ultimately, I think, could decide who wins this game. Because, Jackson, I don't expect there to be this game to go over 20 points. I feel like whoever plays the best in this game out of the two quarterbacks and gives their team the best chance to go down and win at the end, I think will win this game, in my opinion.
Yep.
But, and I'll say this, special teams, they always play a big part in it too, Jackson. We know that. Oh, boy. So, B-Bean says, Austin, what if you had a $100 million NFL contract waiting for you? Would you still play injured? Here's my thing. I understand, B-Bean, that's a fantastic question. And I understand that part of it. If you've got a lot of money waiting on you, I understand that. But for me as a person, you win the national title, that's something you can have for the rest of your life. And I get money drives everything. But to say that you won the national title, that's forever. No one can ever take that away from you. You could say, we were the best team this year. Like, example, 2020, the COVID year, right? The crappy year in football, basketball, across all sports. I know it's two different things. But Nick Saban, his last title ever came in 2020. But no one can ever take that away from him. Am I right or wrong on that, Jackson? Do you still count it?
I count it.
It may not have been the way you wanted Nick Saban to win his last title, but it still counts.
True.
Like, no one wants to win a title that way. I felt bad for no matter who won. But to your question, though, I would definitely think about it. But for me, I would probably play through it just to have the chance, just to hold the trophy up and be like, I did this, and you should have enough tape that when they look at it, they should be like, that's a dang good player on that side of the field. Yes, he tore his rotator cuff or whatever he did, but he's a darn good player, and he won the whole thing. So I would.
Yeah.
Would you, Jackson, or would
Agreed.
you sit for the money?
I'd really think about it, but that's just me. Like if
I mean,
it's just me, if it's like just me, I'm gonna play all the way. But if I got like a family, I'm gonna be like, I mean, I gotta sit it out for my family.
yes, that's a good point too. If my family's involved, I would really, really, really strongly consider it. I wouldn't like it, but I would really strongly consider it, especially if it did family. But that's a great question, B Bean. And it's one of those that if I was in it, it would be really hard. And Jackson, we have a question from Parker Cure. Do you like Minnesota Golden Gophers football team? I like them. I don't mind them.
They're pretty
I'll sit
cool.
watch Minnesota. I'll sit watch a Minnesota
I'm all
game.
right with watching them. I mean,
I mean,
is that your team, Parker?
Hey, I love the roll the boat catchphrase, Parker. Like,
Yeah.
who doesn't love to roll the boat? But speaking of rolling the boat, Jackson, hopefully Florida won't have to row no boats in this game. Hopefully the weather, we don't have any more hurricanes.
No. We got enough bad weather as it is down south.
Yes. But Jackson, who's taking home the 2024-2025 Orange Bowl? And who's getting one step closer to playing for the ultimate dream?
The Notre Dame Fighting Irish as they win 21-17 against the Penn State Nittany Lions.
Oh boy.
Let's
you know
go.
what talking about? You know what talking about it, Jackson? I've thought about this done my research. Something tells me, Jackson, I'm with you. I'm gonna go Notre Dame. I think Drew Allard company. I think he's due for a mistake or two. I think their defense capitalized. Give me Notre Dame to win it 19-13. Give me Notre Dame to win the 2024-25 Orange Bowl.
There we go.
Are you ready to go to the South, good buddy? Yeehaw!
Well, we're still in the South because we got the 2025 Cotton Bowl at the Jerry Dome. Although
Jerry World.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of wish like the Cotton Bowl was at the actual Cotton Bowl instead of the Jerry Dome, but that's another debate. That's another discussion for another day. But for the fourth time in series history, we're going to see the Ohio State Buckeyes meet the Texas Longhorns. And I got to say, whoever loses this game is going to be thinking about this very moment come August 30th, 2025, when there is a rematch in Columbus, Ohio, to start off the new season next season.
Yeah, that's a good point, Jackson. This is going to be a rematch next year. And Jackson, now obviously the teams will be probably drastically different on both sides of the ball. But oh boy. Say, Austin, Penn State. And he's like, OMG.
Yeah, the chat got some hilarious comments. We love it, but focus, Austin. Focus.
Focus. How can you not love B Bean? I mean,
I know, right?
Listen, I hope Penn State does great, and if they win, great. But something in my heart of hearts is telling me, B Bean, like Drew Aller, he's gonna make a mistake, and it's gonna backfire, and it's gonna cost him. And he's due for one. But to this game, to this game. Game. This Ohio State, Jackson. You know, you mentioned it earlier, but they lost to Michigan, and that really lit a fire under their tails, whether they want to admit it or not. And like, look how they played these last two games. They whipped Tennessee on both sides of the ball. They whipped in consensus the best team in college football, or the most team that has shown the least weaknesses, and a lot of people's picked to win this whole thing, Oregon. I mean, Jackson, is there a more complete team playing any better right now than Ohio State?
No, because we know Texas is not playing complete football. Well, not in the second half anyway.
No. First half, they're good for a half, but then it's like, oh, this is where it gets kind of sloppy. But I will say this for Texas, Jackson, their front seven on the defense, they are tremendous. I cannot tell you how many times I watched them stand up to Cam Scatbo and stopped them on Arizona State on fourth down. They're tremendous. They did it to A&M. They did it to Georgia. Like, that's one thing I think that will help them in this game is if Ohio State runs the ball, that Texas D line is going to be up for the challenge. They've been up for it these last 3 or 4 games that they've been in survival mode. And they did it against Clemson. Clemson that sealed the deal. Look, let's not forget that. But what concerns me, Jackson, is who's going to cover Jeremiah Smith?
Oh yeah.
Like Jackson, that guy is a monster. Is there anybody that could cover him? Not just in this game, but in the nation.
It's a good question.
Like, he's ultimately the X factor, Jackson, if you think about it. Because Texas' whole defensive game plan is going to regard around his ability and how to stop him. Because he's what gets that Ohio State offense rolling. If this is any indicator, Jackson, if they start like they did against Oregon, it might get ugly quick and fast in a hurry.
Yeah, because, I mean, we're looking at how he performed against Tennessee. He had 103 receiving yards, 2 touchdowns, 6 receptions. And against Oregon, he had 7 receptions, 187 receiving yards, and 2 touchdowns. So, I mean, this guy is a baller. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's always a ballroom blitz watching him, man. What's up, Honda?
Yes.
Thank you for tuning in, man. You're just in time to hear us discuss our take on the Ohio State Buckeyes and the Texas Longhorns. Hey, it's Ralph Wolf. What's up, man?
What's up? What's cooking? What's cooking, good lookins? As my grandma used to say. But like you said, though, Jackson, Jeremiah Smith, like, I don't even know if bracketing helps at all. Like, because that's the thing, Jackson, because you bracket, Ohio State could beat you in other ways. They're not a one-dimensional team that's just, you take Jeremiah Smith away, then they're...
Yeah. There we go. You all right, Austin? But yeah. So, like, that passing game has just been on fire for the Ohio State Buckeyes. Thomas says Longhorns might need to get Walker Texas Ranger out of retirement if they want to put the handcuffs on J.J. Smith. Oh, my God. That's funny. Well, I think retirement is a little scared of Chuck Norris because retirement doesn't want to get his butt kicked by Chuck Norris. But, yeah. So we're looking at Ohio State. And from what we're seeing, like they've been pretty good in the passing game, and of course they've been really good on defense. It seems like, oh my god, it's just been it was a mess for Tennessee that night, and that's the funny thing. No turnovers, no problem. Buckeyes smashed them off face the earth. No turnovers, no problem. Boom. So Buckeyes had a great day, and 181 rushing yards against Oregon. That was huge right then and there. And let's see the stats against Tennessee. 156 rushing yards. That running game has helped them quite a lot. All I can say is, if I'm Texas, I am scared. I'm about to pee my britches if I'm going up against Travion Henderson and Mika Ibuka and all those guys like Travion Henderson and Quinshot Judkins. I don't want to go up against any of them. They scared the daylights out of me. And they don't scare daylights out of you, I don't know what to tell you. And no worries, Austin's mic is cutting off on him. He is fixing that situation. It makes me a bit nervous headed into this one. I think it'll be more of a fist fight. Yeah, I could see that because I don't really see Texas playing with their food a little bit against Ohio State. I mean, they play with their food against the Clemson Tigers and the Arizona State Sun Devils. They're not going to pull that crap against Ohio State. What you're going to see is more of what you saw against Michigan, against Oklahoma, they did in the playoffs. Now, you may see, because I'm just going to tell you, one turnover for the Texas Longhorns, they may not be able to come back. That I can guarantee you. As for Texas, we look at them for a moment and we see that, there's been a lot of talk about Quinn Ewers in the future, but I think Quinn Ewers in the future needs to be talked about after the playoffs. But we did see some magic against Arizona State. And, the receiving core looked pretty good. Bailed out Quinn Ewers. I mean, when they were going against Clemson, Jaden Blue and Quintravion Weaver, the rushing game saved the day against Clemson. Because unfortunately, that passing game did not get it done. It did not get it done for the Longhorns. But the passing game saved the day against Arizona State. I mean, those passes to Matthew Golden and Gunnar Helm, my God, that was huge. It was humongous. Ralph Wolf says you have to bump and run Jeremiah Smith. Can't just let him have a free release. I will never understand why Oregon was giving him 7-10 yard cushion every snap. Maybe it was because they have 5'9" cornerbacks. Parker Curry, yes. I love Alabama football. Parker Curry also asked if I like Kellen DeBoer, head coach. Yes, I am I am a fan of Caleb DeBoer for what he's bringing to Alabama. Some people in the Alabama fan base are not, but I like what he's doing. Maybe in the minority of that for right now, but we're going to wait and see for the 2025 season. But right now we're discussing the college football playoff semifinals. But yeah, and we're looking at the 5 keys for the Texas Longhorns written by Eric Nyland from On3's Inside Texas. Quinn Ewers, he's an important key to this game. He agrees on that. He says Jedi Barron is definitely key to this game. I mean, best cornerback in college football, he says, against the best wide receiver. Well, I mean, I do want to see what Barron can bring. Agreed. I mean, could not agree more with Gunnar Helm being a key to this game. And Matthew Golden. I mean, you heard me talking about Matthew Golden just a little while ago. I mean, dude was bringing magic against Arizona State, especially in overtime. It was huge. Like I didn't know what to say. I mean, like the game tying touchdown overtime, and then that winning touchdown double overtime by Helm. That passing game, key to victory. And if Texas can utilize the rushing game, same way they did against Clemson, they can utilize everything all at once against Ohio State. They will be good to go. If Ohio State can keep doing what they're doing against Tennessee and what they did against Oregon, they will be good to go. And I know some Buckeyes have been like, okay, the Buckeyes are favored. That scares me a little bit. Matter of fact, they are favored 5.5 points against the Texas Longhorns, and the over-under total is 53.5. But all I could say is, regardless of who wins this game, the loser is going to be thinking about it. They're going to be mad. They're going to be snarling, snapping every time they think about this game. Going into August 30th, 2025, week 1 of the 2025 season. That's what they're going to be thinking about. It doesn't matter who wins this game. The loser is going to be mad as a cottonmouth thinking about this moment for every day for the next several months. Through spring practice, through the end of the second semester, through the whole summer. That's what they're going to be thinking about. The winner is going to be chilling for a little bit. They're going to be chilling out. And they're going to be playing for a national championship.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Loud and clear. Any other note that I leave out, Austin?
Well, I'll say this. One thing I do want to mention is I think Will Howard, can be had because Texas defense, if they can apply pressure and get to Will Howard and make him think fast on his toes, I really think Texas can win this football game. And Ohio State's O-line has been holding up really well these last 2 games. They've shown, the injuries on the O-line. A lot of people thought that would be their downfall. What would cost them ultimately in the end? Right now, they've just rotated players in, and it's looked almost like it's supposed to. Texas needs to find a way to take advantage of that. Needs to find a way to blitz Will Howard, throw the exotics at him. That way he doesn't have time to look for Jeremiah Smith. That way he doesn't have time to just look for his receivers. And if they could do that, Texas can win. But I don't know if I could trust them to do that. And like you said, Jackson, Texas is a first half team. If Texas gets up 10, 14 points in the first half on Ohio State, I don't know if that's going to be even good enough then, because Ohio State can flip the switch like that. We've seen it multiple times this year. They did it against Penn State, where they were down 10 early, and then with snap of the fingers, they flipped the switch, and here we go. Ohio State wins another game in Happy Valley. So for Texas, they've got to play almost perfect football. Quinn Ewers can't be making the same mistakes that he's made before. And Ralph Wolf brings up this comment here, Jackson. You have to bump and run Jeremiah Smith. Can't just let him have a free release. I will never understand why Oregon was giving him 17-yard cushions every snap. Maybe it was because they have 5'9" cornerbacks. Well, that's another thing. You play off coverage or play soft coverage against Jeremiah Smith, he's going to burn you. Most receivers, good to great receivers, will. And just the thing, Jackson, he's only a freshman. He's only going to get stronger, bigger, and smarter to this. Like, what's he going to be like in 2 years when he's NFL ready? He's going to make someone's NFL roster, obviously, but he may change a team's whole receiving core within a snap of a finger. That's how good he is when he gets to the NFL.
Yeah. Well, and Colin Simmons, the edge rusher for Texas, is going to have to step up against Ohio State in order to have a chance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's one of them things too, Jackson, where this is all going to fall on Texas D line because I don't think their corners will be able to hold Ohio State in check.
Maybe
Check too long.
Jedi Barron will have something to say about it, but we'll wait and see.
And Small Time Republican says, since college football is a business now, then Jeremiah Smith should be able to go to the NFL right away if he wants to. Jackson, did they take that rule away that you can go anytime you want now, or do you still have to wait till
No.
you're a junior?
Shoot. I mean, if you're good enough to go to the NFL, I'm like, hell, do whatever. I mean, if you gotta make money for you and your family, so be it, man.
Just let him. Well, because I know in college basketball you could leave at any time. College
Although
football,
I have kind
go
of
for it.
gotten used to the whole wait till you're at least a junior. So but yeah, Jeremiah Smith as our guy TJ Ronan from Michigan, the voice college football. He would say that Jeremiah Smith is a savage. Lucas Hill,
And
what's
Lawrence,
up, man?
what's up, Lucas? And he says if that was the case, we'd see a lot of draft stocks saved. True, very, very true. And Jackson, that's obviously a whole nother can of worms that we can open up later. We can open that up sometime later on our After Hours podcast that we'll have coming in the summer of 2025. No, I'm just kidding. But in all seriousness, though, Jackson, what's the injury statuses? Any big injuries that we need to be preview of?
But we'll
go for it.
Not any ones I can find yet, but we'll wait and see.
So while Jackson does that real fast, I'll say this: the winner of this game will probably win the whole thing. I'm going to put that out there right now. More than likely.
Yeah, we did talk about Abdul Carter from Penn State, Notre Dame.
Yes.
And Jeremiah Love from the Love Boat being hurt.
Yeah.
But
the winner of Texas Ohio State, Jackson, will probably win the whole thing. But you never know. My mind could change.
Well, Texas has a couple old linemen that are questionable with injuries. Kelvin Banks Jr. and Cameron Williams. And the Buckeyes have had some injuries all over the place. But, they've rebounded nicely. Our buddy Patrick Murphy from Buttnuts 247 talked a lot about the O-line and how it had some injuries here and there, but they found renewed success on the offensive line in the college football playoff thanks to a 3-man guard rotation. That's worked out pretty nice, if you ask me.
Yes. We'll say it has, Jackson. It has, but so everyone's pretty much healthy except for on the O-line from what it sounds in this game, which that's a big part of the game. Don't get me wrong, but no major receiver injuries. Defense, everyone seems pretty healthy on both sides of the ball. This is as close to as healthy as everyone's going to be.
So, well, I guess we're ready. Are we ready to make our picks just yet, or a couple more notes?
Well, I'll say this, Jackson. Since you picked first on the Orange Bowl, I'll pick first in the Cotton Bowl. So, Oh, and Lucas Hill says, "Gotta roll, guys. Which one of you, by the way, is wanting to come on the CFP nightcap tomorrow? Do a little talk about the CFP semis." Oh, there you go, Jackson.
That sounds pretty cool. Well, I mean, I will definitely hope I moved up the Alabama call-in show to Wednesday night this week because of the college football playoff semifinals.
Yeah,
Um,
Jackson don't want to compete with that. He's good, but he's not that good yet.
no, right.
One of these days, Jackson. One of these days, we'll be multimillionaires. We'll tell the college football playoff committee when they need to
Yeah.
schedule the games.
But of
We'll be like,
course,
listen here.
like I'll be talking about the latest on Alabama football tomorrow night, and of
Mhm.
course, I'll give my take on the semifinals because I mean, it's what I do. Talk about college football. So there we go.
Yes, yes, but I'll say this, Jackson. I'll pick first, and I'll let you think about your pick.
All right.
So I, I've thought about it, and with everything, something gives me a suspicion, Jackson. A lot of people are going to be picking Ohio State in this game, and rightfully so. They've played the best, but I'm going to pick Texas to get the win here. I'm going to pick Texas to win. I think they pull this one out, 27-24. Give me Texas.
I'm gonna go with the Ohio State Buckeyes, where they win 31-20 against the Texas Longhorns.
Okay. Yeah, we agreed on the Notre Dame Penn State game. We both picked Notre Dame, but we split on this one. We'll see how it works out. Either one of us is going to be 2-0, or the other, or one of us is going to be 1-1. Or we could end up 0-2, depending on how things shake out. But Jackson, we've got 3 games left. I almost said 2. We have 3 games left, Jackson. 3 games, and then we will have ourselves our first ever 12-team playoff national champions. Where's the time gone, Jack?
Time flies by when you're having fun, you know.
The days of our lives, so is the sand in our hourglass. Ooh, cue my music. But anywho, speaking Jackson, speaking of days of our lives, I don't know how much drama you're going to get out of this show.
Oh man.
It's not
Well,
very. It's not very. Hold on, Jack. I gotta segue you. Let me work my magic for you, good buddy. I don't know how much drama we're gonna find in this show, but you will get your information and knowledge about Alabama football. Go for it now, Jack. Take it away.
well, I mean, like sands to the hourglass, so are the days at Alabama at the voice of college football because we're just like we're in depression mode. We're close to acceptance mode, pretty much, where we're just not in the playoffs. So we're not happy about it, but oh well, such is life, I guess. So yeah, Johnny and I talked a little bit about our take on the draft, the declarations, and some of the staff changes. Whether we could get Ryan Grubb to come back to Alabama. I mean, there's been a tenacious debate from Alabama Nation whether we're going to get him back, but we'll wait and see. I mean, I don't think we're getting him back. I think somebody's going to get him back as their assistant coach, but we'll wait and see what happens. But of course, we have reached 2,500 subs. Thanks to you guys on Alabama at the voice of college football. Thanks to your support. And we are now looking to get the 3,000 subs, then the 4,000 subs. I think the Texas channel will have Alabama at the voice of college football beat to 3,000, but we can't beat them to 4,000 subs. Because, I mean, look, Texas is in the playoffs and they're they're like the Lone Ranger for the SEC, but we're showing Texas who's boss in the SEC still. Right here on Alabama with the voice of college football. Like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Click on those notifications so you never miss another video on Alabama football. And you can check out the latest Crimson Tide Live episode from Monday afternoon. And instead of having the call-in show Thursday night, we moved it up to Wednesday night at the same time to avoid competition with the college football playoffs. So we will take your calls on Alabama football, discussing your take, and we're probably going to get sidetracked into discussing the CFP semifinals. But I mean, who we kid? This is what we love to do. We love talking about college football. We love talking about the college football semifinals, seeing what's up with Ohio State, Texas, Notre Dame, Penn State, and what's going on with the Alabama Crimson Tide. You can check out Johnny Burtz and myself Monday afternoons on Alabama with the Voice of College Football. And of course, you can check out the 14th edition of the Alabama Call-In Show from Jeffrey at Only Talk Sports and myself. And for more updates on what the plans are, check me out on not just on Jackson Johnson 979, where I'm 108 subs away from the magic number 500, where I not only produce and host shows like Pits Analysis and the Final Whistle with Austin, my good buddy, every chance we get, but also the Buzzer Beater with Will and D, and of course, the one and only, the Jacksonian, right here on YouTube and on X and so many more platforms. And for more updates on what the plans are, check me out on Jackson VOCFB on X and on Instagram and Threads, Jackson Johnson 543908. Austin, what have you got going on?
And so, of course, you all can find me here on Sports Talk with Austin 2002. And you can find me on my Twitter where I do my little rant and raving about a little bit of everything in the sports world and, of course, promote things. But, of course, what I've got going on this week is of course, the Final Whistle. We'll either be doing that Friday or Saturday, depending on the Cotton Bowl, because we're hoping it's supposed to snow in Texas. I can't even believe that. But if they have to move it back, we'll move Final Whistle back. But we will do Final Whistle regardless. We will give you our takes on the game, and we will give you everything we can. And then, of course, we'll have the national title preview, and then we'll do the Final Whistle on that. We got plenty of things in the works, but you stay tuned to, like Jackson said, his channel, my channel, and just promote this show out. Even if you don't like us, promote it out. Get all your friends to hate on us. Why not? I mean, at least we know that you're hate watching, I guess. I mean, of course, if you love the show, it'd be greatly appreciated. But if you're a hater, hate. I mean, that's how you get the cash, as they say. But in all seriousness, though, we appreciate you guys and our supporters. We love y'all. Stay safe out there. It's cold in some states. And we got 3 games left. Enjoy them. And Jackson is muted.
I forgot
Apparently
I was muted for a moment. Like, comment, subscribe, click on the notification bell so you never miss another video whatsoever. And we will see you soon. Take care,
Go
everybody.
Cards.
Stay safe, stay warm, and roll Tide.